What's up, Knicks fam? Welcome to Knicks Latest. We have finally reached the playoffs. Before we get into that, though, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment on the video. I want to be taking your comments. I want to be using them in future episodes. Definitely want to make this a community. Definitely want this to make this interactive. I am your host, Josh Rodriguez, at Josh_Rodriguez_ everywhere on social media. But like I said before, it is finally playoff time. The Knicks have finished the regular season with 51 wins. 51-31, the 3 seed. This is their second best record since the 2000s, essentially. You had that 54-win team with Carmelo Anthony back in 2012, 2013, I believe it was. But this is the best regular season team since then. And one of the better regular season teams that the Knicks have had in my lifetime. I mean, I grew up on the 90s Knicks. So the Starks, Ewing, Oakley, all those guys, those were my guys, and it's been a really long time since the Knicks have been this good for this long, and it sounds sad to say, but back-to-back 50-win seasons for the first time since the 90s, a very successful season that I just want to shout out the Knicks organization for before we get started into breaking down the matchups between the Knicks and the Pistons. This has been a really long road as a Knicks fan, someone who grew up rooting for this team in the 90s, throughout the 2000s, those hard times. I don't want to get into the players, don't want to get into the organization, but it was just some really, really low times. The Knicks were looked at as a joke across the NBA. And now, to be honest, one of the premier franchises in the league. Last year, a 2 seed. This year, a 3 seed. 2 back-to-back 50-win seasons. A bright future. Stars across the lineup. Whether you like him or not, a premier head coach. Somebody who's well-respected in the league. A front office that's respected in the league. A brand that's respected across the league. It's something to be proud of if you're a Knicks fan. And even though I may have my beefs and I may have my concerns about this year's team, I'm very happy that, for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can look forward to New York Knicks basketball in mid-April, into May, comfortably. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. I'm excited for the playoffs to start. Maybe the Knicks will surprise us a little bit. I know a lot of us are down on the team, but like I said, this team has won 51 games, and you don't win 51 games by being an average team. So this is not an average team. Anything could happen. Let's get into it with the Knicks Pistons first round preview. This it's actually kind of funny to me how many Knicks fans are worried about this matchup. I'll give my prediction in a little bit, but the Knicks are the better team here. They have more players on offense. They can use those players. For instance, with the Pistons, you could take away Cade Cunningham, right? Or you can find a way to limit his offensive impact, whether that's putting OG on him, whether that's trapping in the pick and roll. Tibbs is going to have to figure out a way how to stop Cade Cunningham from causing havoc all over the place. Where Cade goes, that's where the Pistons go. I assume with pick and roll with Cat, he's going to drop. Maybe start Mikel on him, even though Mikel didn't really have too much success. You still have OG. You still have Josh Hart. You still have many different players you can throw at Cade Cunningham to make him uncomfortable. And I really do think if you cut the head of the snake off, which is Cade Cunningham, the series is over. I don't think you can say that about the Knicks. I don't think if you're a Pistons fan, you can say, you know what? If we just stop Jalen Brunson, we got this. Because no, you got to deal with Cat, who's a stretch 5. And you don't have players who can guard Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren. They're not players who can guard a stretch 5, so Cat's going to give them hell all series. If Cat's not going, you got OG Anunoby, who looks like Michael Jordan for the past 15 or so games, right? He's somebody who can create offense on his own and for others as well. If OG's not going, you have Mikal Bridges. So there are a lot of different factors the Knicks have going for them, which includes their ability to adjust on the offensive end if Jalen's not going, if Cat's not going, if Mikel's not going, if OG's not going. They also have the ability to spread it around. This doesn't have to be a series where Jalen dominates. This doesn't have to be a series where Cat dominates. They have a lot of different options to go to on the offensive end, and I don't trust the Detroit Pistons to be strong enough defensively to be able to contain all this. This is not like it's a team where their offense is limited, but they're very, very strong defensively like the Houston Rockets. The Pistons aren't there when it comes to the defensive end. I'm just not as worried as a lot of the Knicks fans are. I don't see a world in which the Pistons are able to limit the Knicks offense 4 out of 7 times in a series. Yeah, it might happen one night in Detroit. Cade Cunningham might get his on the offensive end maybe 1 or 2 times throughout the series. I'm not denying that. He's a fantastic basketball player. But when you look at the talent discrepancy on this team, especially on the front end, I don't think this series is going to be all that close. I do think it will be competitive. I do think the Pistons, will have their moments here and there. I don't expect them to be swept. I don't expect this to be a quick series. But at the same time, let's be honest here. This Knicks team, even though they did go 1-3 against the Pistons, there were games where OG didn't play, Cat didn't play. Last few games of the regular season where half of the Knicks rotation didn't play. The Pistons did catch them fully healthy at Madison Square Garden and won a game there. But I look at that record and I don't really take it all that seriously. And, this Knicks team has won 50 games with this league not really being able to stop them. The Pistons don't have the versatility on defense to consistently answer questions about how do you stop this person, unless the Knicks go completely cold. That's the only way I really see the Pistons winning this series. Jalen has to have a bad series, and Cat has to have a bad series. I don't see that happening. I really don't. And on the other end, with the Knicks, yeah, they struggle with the pick and roll. Cat struggles with the pick and roll. We know this. But who are you really worried about outside of Cade? Cade might get his. Cade might average 30 in the series, but if you limit Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, come on, those guys don't really strike any fear into you. They're all solid NBA players. They're not trash. They've all had great careers. But as far as creating for themselves, as far as being a number 2 option, as far as if Cade doesn't have his game, who can you really go to that's going to carry you in a series? They don't really have that. So if you're Tom Thibodeau, the mission is figuring out how to cut the head of the snake off, and that's Cade Cunningham. Once you do that, that's ball game to me. That's series to me. I don't think it's going to happen quickly. I think Cade is going to have a fantastic series. I think he's going to play well for most of the time. But once you limit that, and once you shut everything off, you shut the water off on everything else. It's a very easy, I wouldn't say it's an easy task, but it's a more simple task, right? When you play the Celtics, you got to worry about ball movement. You have to worry about KP in the pick and pop. You have to worry about Jason Tatum in the drop. You have to worry about Jason Tatum ISO, getting a switch on the mismatch. You have to worry about Jaylen Brown getting a switch on the mismatch. You have to worry about KP getting a switch on the mismatch. And you have to worry about them hitting the three, taking a lot of threes. Peyton Pritchard off the... Do you get what I'm saying here with the Pistons? You don't really have to worry about that. You have Dennis Schroeder off the bench who, can get going and make things happen as well. I'm not saying that they don't have anybody outside of Cade Cunningham, but there's really nobody or no system in place that really strikes any type of fear into me. They're a nice team led by a rising star in the league, and they're going to have a lot of years ahead of them where they're going to be very good. They can be very physical. You saw in the last game where a lot of Knicks fans were kind of upset because it felt like the Knicks got punked. That's not going to happen in the playoffs. Not with Josh Hart on the floor, who wasn't there that game. Not with OG on the floor, who wasn't there that game. We've seen what Mitch has done in the playoffs against the likes of Joel Embiid, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. Like, we've seen this. Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart don't move me. They shouldn't move you if you're a Knicks fan. And this is coming from someone who doesn't really believe in the Knicks in the sense where I think they're contenders to win the finals this year. I don't. But against the Pistons, come on. What are we doing? I understand respecting your opponent, and we absolutely should respect the Pistons. They deserve all the credit in the world for making it this far. But it's the playoffs now. You got to win 4 out of 7. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening at all. I think the Knicks win this in 5. Wouldn't surprise me if it goes 6. And when I say 5, I don't mean easy 5. I don't think, they're going to blow out the Pistons every game. It's going to be a quick series and forgettable series. I think they're going to have to pull out some late game heroics, execute down the stretch, get some stops, especially in Detroit. That's the first time they've had meaningful basketball there in mid-April in a really long time. It's a proud franchise. It's a classic franchise, a good fan base when they're engaged. It's going to be tough. I even think the games in New York are going to be tough. So it's not going to be easy. I don't want to disrespect the Pistons here. I don't think it's going to be an easy series, but I also don't think at any point during this series are you going to be thinking, oh, we're in trouble if you're a Knicks fan. I don't. So that's my prediction. Knicks in 5. I'll be brave. Knicks in 5. But playing starts Tuesday. We're finally here, postseason basketball, so I'm really excited about that. Warriors-Grizzlies tonight. That's must-see basketball. The winner gets the Rockets, and then you have the Magic Hawks. Winner gets the Celtics. Have fun with that. But the playoffs are here, man, and I'm really excited for that. I'm going to be coming back to you tomorrow, probably pick some type of topic for the series, maybe hit more on like some matchups, Cade versus OG, Cade versus Mikal Bridges, maybe give you some stats to back up what I'm saying. Maybe hone in on something very specific leading up until Saturday, which is game 1 at 6 o'clock at the Garden, which I expect to be rocking. So please listen, if you want, follow the show, subscribe to the show, make sure you drop a comment. I would love to hear what you think about this series going forward. Who do you have winning the series? In how many games? Who's your X factor? I'll be talking about that all week. X factors, matchups. Didn't want to give away too much today because, got 4 days of content to give you up until the series starts. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you next time for an episode of Knicks Latest. If you want, you follow me everywhere at Josh_Rodriguez_. Like I said, subscribe. We're coming at you 4 or 5, maybe sometimes 6 days a week on this channel. Until next time, peace.